The Buffalo Bills just made a handful of shocking roster moves, and frankly, Bills Mafia, on paper, they don't look like much, but I think they're a signal of something better, something greater that's coming. We're going to break it all down today, and frankly, there is a bunch more news about our defense, about potential trades, and things that are just swirling. We had some coaches' press conferences we've got to talk about. We've got a clip from Sean McDermott I want to show you, which I think, again, is telling, and we got to talk about, of course, Jimmy Charla, how he was cut, and we can start right there. And Jimmy Charla, as we know, he was the Hard Knocks darling, the great story, the West Point guy, kind of like Joe Andreessen, right? Bring your lunch pail to work. He didn't really play much on Sunday. We'll talk about him more at the end. But I think the move of having him released off of our roster really is a sign of what's to come. Before we get any further, though, just want to remind you, my name's Colin. This is Crack the Table. We are all Bills, no breaks. If you are looking for non-AI, not artificial intelligence, Buffalo Bills content every single day, make sure that you subscribe, make sure you like the channel, and also drop a Go Bills. But hey, I want to talk about 5 things really quick ahead of this Jimmy Charlo news and ahead of these roster moves. And the first one is this. It has to do with injuries with Josh Palmer and Daquan Jones, who are week to week. Again, when you hear of a player who is week to week, that is concerning. That's a orange or potentially even red flag. The red flag maybe would be that they're put on IR, so maybe they won't be out for 4 weeks, but it could be 2 or 3 weeks before we see both of these guys back on the field. I heard the story, before the game on Monday night that Daquan Jones popped his calf or something like that, or something popped in his leg. You just never want to hear that. Don't know exactly what that is. Josh Palmer, of course, the hip drop tackle that was not called, really killer for us on multiple fronts because we're already struggling in the receiver end, which we're going to talk about receivers in a few moments. But Josh Palmer, Daquan Jones, week to week, not day to day. Hopefully next week we'll hear the coach talking about them day to day. Again, the coaching staff, because this week we don't have practices, they are not mandated to report all the details that we want. So we've just got to wait this out until the practice reports come out and tell us really what the injuries are in some level of specificity, even though they can't get very specific. But even that, Sean McDermott has also said that there is a chance, and this is where I'm getting excited, that Maxwell Hairston, his practice window might be opening up very soon. I hope it's this week. I hope it's either, at the latest next week, but we really need him by week 10, week 11 to get in the building, or really to get on the field, get practicing, get some reps with the starting defense, and get out there and show us what he's got. The jury's still out on him. Of course, the draft class has struggled. But here's some other news. McDermott said he talked with Joe Brady. There's a couple videos swirling around on Twitter, on the internet right now of Sean McDermott just getting after Joe Brady for some cute plays. We're not a big fan of that. We don't love to see that. But again, the thing that I really was surprised at when I looked at the third quarter of the game on Monday night was that we ran the ball pretty efficiently with James Cook. They were bottling us up in the passing game and they were blitzing consistently, but there was a lot of opportunities that James Cook would run for 5 to 8 to 10 yards. And you know what? He didn't play much. He didn't have a single rush attempt after the 11-minute point or the 11-minute mark in the fourth quarter. That's pretty unacceptable. A lot of people want Joe Brady's head. I don't know if you want to get rid of Bobby Babbitt, Joe Brady, and Sean McDermott altogether. But if you were to move on from one, what's a move that you're going to do with that? Are you going to actually have somebody new come in, or are you just going to promote somebody from within? Obviously, this is potentially an off-season reality. Maybe not for right now. But this, again, the diamond in the rough is Deon Walker. I might have to do a whole nother video about him, but he is leading the NFL in rookie play with tackles for loss. And I think he's only behind Nick Bonito on the Broncos in the entire NFL for tackles for loss. He is having an amazing rookie season. Yes, he is a rookie. He does have some issues. He's not an all-pro right now. He's not amazing in the run game and the pass game, but he has showed an ability to have interior pressure. Now he's just got to work on his run game a little bit, his plugging some gaps, but none the more. He's been really, really good. Couple other things here. I really appreciated these sentiments, just rounding up some news. He said, basically 3 things can be true. He says, the Bills receivers are below average, not creating enough separation. True, right? Joe Brady needs to do a better job scheming people in the passing game. Absolutely true. And then this one, Josh Allen is pressing and not playing to the standard we expect out of him. I think all three of these things are true. We're struggling all aboard it. It's players, it's scheme, and it's even just the receivers. Josh Allen, the receivers, and the coaching. But you know what? I saw this, and this kind of made me sick. This would really upset me if, for some reason, Brandon Beane didn't get AJ Brown on our team, but for some reason he went to the Patriots. Again, when I see something like this, when I see NFL rumors, I basically believe that there's no substantiated evidence with it, so don't take it too heavy. But I did see it, and it did make me cringe a little bit. I thought I'd save it with you. But AJ Brown is a guy that I would love to bring on the Buffalo Bills. But another guy that I would love to bring on the Buffalo Bills is Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. There's some really good players out there on 1-year deals or 2-year deals that we could really get on our team. Again, a guy like Chris Olave, I would trade a 2nd-round pick instantly for him. I would figure out the cap stuff on the back end. We'd have to pay him $25 million a year, if not more. I know he's got some concussion issues, but Chris Olave would absolutely change this offensive environment for us, especially in the wide receiver core. But this last thing, I want to show you this right before I get into talking again about Jimmy Charlo, and I think the upside move that's consequential that's going to happen as a result of that. But check this out. Listen here.
Happy with the reverse call before 2 weeks in a row, and it ends up in a fumble.
We can be better. We can be better. Well, again, like I said, you have to evaluate everything to make sure that we're looking in the right spots in terms of the coverages we're getting and the quarterback's progression overall. I could feel what you were saying in terms of it was too hard tonight on our quarterback, and it doesn't need to be that hard all the time where he's having to run out of the pocket.
Yeah, and just continuing on what Sean McDermott says is exactly what we've been realizing and seeing it with this tweet is that our quarterback, our receivers, our line, everybody's having to work harder, I think, because there's not as much separation. The play calling and the scheme is not playing to our players' strengths. Again, we just went against Atlanta, the number 1 defense currently in the NFL. Their passing game or their passing defense is the number 1 in the NFL. Their rush game is about league average, but overall still number 1. Again, we didn't have Dalton Kincaid in that game. He is our matchup or a mismatch machine right now. But again, there's just a lot going wrong with this offense. I think we need to trade for a guy. I don't think this is something that we wait until next season. We don't have to mortgage our future. We can trade a 2nd or a 3rd or 2 seconds or something to go get a guy like Chris Olave. That's my hope. That's my desire. But I want to talk a little bit again about this move that we made with Jimmy Charlo. Jimmy Charlo, of course, the West Point guy, the Hard Knocks hero. He was the grad deferred underdog guy. He was at the Jets for a little bit, tore his ACL. And then, of course, in the summer, he came in, makes the practice squad. But then just recently, he was promoted to the active roster, inactive, and then released really just in 10 days. And he's just got this emotional whiplash going about because he's just being tossed to and from every which way. And this is really hard. Again, this is a guy, maybe especially early on, I think a lot of people have soured on Joe Andreessen personally, just because of some of the play that we've seen on the field. But Jimmy Charlo, especially in the preseason, when he was playing like nickel corner, and he was literally, we could see it on Hard Knocks. He was saying like, I don't even know where I'm supposed to line up. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. It's the kind of player that we as a team just want to root for. He's got a great level of humility. He's got a great level of discipline, and he just has a great heart as a person. Again, right now we're seeing a locker room that's struggling with its identity and roster depth in some regards because of all these injuries. Jimmy Charlo is not a guy who we want on our team, later on in the season, who's hopefully going to have meaningful snaps at a high level. That's just not really who Jimmy Charlo is. But again, I think this is more of a signal of something to come. Of course, Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi are coming back. Maybe potentially this 21-day window opening up with Maxwell Hairston, leading to another roster. And currently we're sitting at 50 of 53 spots. And so we've got some intentional flexibility with our roster. And again, we've got potential IR moves coming. We've got potential returns of Hoyt and Ogunjobi. But this also, I think, ultimately leads me to think that Matt Milano will be back by week 8. If Matt Milano, his injury was, persistent, and I know he's had a massive injury history. I know some people are like, we got to cut this guy. We got to get this guy off our team. No, Matt Milano is a very good football player, and I know he's not who he used to be. But you know what? It doesn't matter at this point in the season. We're going into the bye. We're going into week 8 after that. This is a guy who's very, very good. And when you put him with Bernard, when you put him with Dorian Williams, when you put him with even Shaq Thompson, when you put him with some of these guys, he can perform really, really well. We need him to be healthy. And you know what? Guys like Dorian Williams, he's not expendable, but Jimmy Charlo is expendable. Again, the trade deadline's coming up. November 5, I believe, is a specific date. But Buffalo is, I think, almost certainly having to be a buyer, not a seller. This is not a year to tear it down and try to reload in the draft. I think there's 3 good receivers in the draft. I think we trade future draft capital right now and get a receiver and figure out the money on the back end. Again, it might look like panic on paper that we're getting rid of another linebacker when we've got a bunch of linebackers who have been hurt. But again, I think this is a signal that actually, again, Matt Milano is going to be back. He's going to be healthy. How long he's healthy, we don't know. But again, Michael Hoyt can play some of these linebacking roles along with Greg Rousseau and along with Joey Bosa on the outside. He can move around a bit. But again, we're coming off this terrible loss to Atlanta. We need to get healthy. We need to get some of these players in the field. You know what? There is maybe going to be a shift in our defense schematically with the addition of these players. We'd hope that we'd have Daquan Jones back. We'd hope that, later this season we can see TJ Sanders again. But in all of it, we don't know. We don't know what we're going to see. We are very injured. We are one of the most injured teams in the NFL. And I know we can whine and complain and call for the names of our strengths and conditioning coaches, or we can call for the names of the firing of a bunch of coaches or whatever it is, Brandon Beane, whoever it is, but injuries are not something really you can plan on. It is sad that Matt Milano continues to get hurt, but in all of it, we are still a team that is going to be pushing for a playoff position. We're going to be pushing hopefully deep into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl. What's next for this team? I don't know. I hope a trade happens. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below for you. What is the most critical position that we go trade for? Is it a cornerback or is it a wide receiver? For me, it's got to be hands down a receiver. Go get a good one. Figure out how to pay him $25 to $30 million a year. Don't mess with this. We can get, AJ Brown for less than a first-round pick. We can get Chris Olave, I think, last for maybe a first-round pick or 2 second-round picks or something like that. But again, Carolina's on the docket coming up after the bye. We've got to get ready for this. But in all of it, my name's Colm. This is Crack the Table. We're all Bills, no breaks. Again, just every single day bringing you Buffalo Bills content. God bless. Go Bills. Peace out.